Hello, everyone, and welcome into episode 40 of the Stomp the Bus show. I am your host, Mark Harris, coming at you solo today since Colton has some other things he has to do, and coming at you audio only today because the Microsoft Surface Pro X, their webcams have literally just stopped working for everyone who has one, and I'm not even making that up. You can look it up. I figured that out the hard way trying to set this up this afternoon, which is really annoying. So thanks a lot, Bill Gates. But yeah, so just audio only. Gonna have a short show today. Not a whole lot going on in ASU world, but I did want to touch on some stuff, starting with the ASU baseball team. Even if they don't get in to the NCAA tournament, which I think the selection show is on Monday, or I don't know exactly when the selection show is. I think it's either Sunday or Monday, but that doesn't really matter. If they don't get in, this will still be a successful season for ASU. But the reason I'm starting off this episode with them is because it looks like they very much will get into the NCAA baseball tournament. They finished the season this past weekend with a series win over UCLA, beating them 2-1 in the final game. And that clinched a 32-23 regular season record for ASU. And that doesn't sound that impressive because, I mean, you're 9 games over 500. It's not, you're a bubble tournament team. But the year before, ASU baseball went 26-32. So literally last year, you had the same exact number of losses that you have wins this year. That is marked real improvement by Willie Bloomquist. I mean, they were 6-17 on the road last year. That's tough. And they're 9-13 this year, which again isn't amazing, but it's way more closer to 500 than 6-17. So anyway, they have a real shot of making the NCAA tournament, and I just want to congratulate the team on that. We haven't talked a ton about ASU baseball on the show. They've done a good job of beating the teams they're supposed to beat. They don't have a lot of just eyesore losses. Went on the road and swept Wazoo, beat all 3 games against UC Davis. These aren't amazing, incredible things, but these were things that the Tracy Smith era teams did not do. They didn't just take care of business. And it's going to help ASU because they really faded in the month of May. They lost 2 of 3 at Oregon. They were swept at home by Stanford, who granted is the best team in the league, but you still don't want to get swept. And then the following weekend, they were swept on the road at USC. So they had a stretch there from April 28th to May 14th where they went 1-8. 1-8. That's really bad. But because they didn't have all these dumb losses, they didn't lose games that they should have won, they're able to withstand that. You beat Grand Canyon 13-10 on a Tuesday, win at UNLV, beat Grand Canyon again. I'm looking through the back of the schedule. They had a game against North Dakota State that they eked by, maybe not. I don't know. Oh, they did. Yes, March 1st, beat North Dakota State 10-9. That's being a team like North Dakota State by just 1 run isn't that impressive at all, but you avoid the loss. And to their credit, ASU did reel off some good series wins. They beat Oregon State 2 out of 3 times, beat UCLA, like I just mentioned, and then at the end of March, they swept U of A. So just a solid improvement, and they had 2 guys on the all-conference team. Luke Keeschel has been an incredible transfer for this team. Nuo Contradas as a freshman has been great too, along with Isaiah Jackson. Then you have other guys, Nick McLean, Brian Campos chipping in. And they've been able to overcome a, mediocre pitching staff. And this is where they are. Pac-12 tournament just wrapped up today for them. Due to tiebreakers, they won't be moving on further in the Pac-12 tournament, but it looks like they did enough to secure a bid in the baseball big dance, so to speak. They started on Tuesday, losing to U of A at Scottsdale Stadium, 12-3. Not a good game at all. There's really no dancing around it. Really bad way to start the tournament. But earlier today, on Thursday, May 25th, with their backs up against the wall, figuratively, for the tournament, they beat Oregon State 14-10, and it wasn't necessarily a pretty game. ASU got off to a 6-1 lead, then gave up 4 runs in the 5th, 6-5, but they score 8 runs over the next 3 innings to mostly put it away, even though, again, they gave up 5 runs in the last 2 innings of the game. So, nobody is expecting a national championship run from this ASU baseball team, but it is very good to almost certainly get back to the tournament after the end of the Tracy Smith era. And then last year, it had been a while, it had been a good 5 years, I'm guesstimating. And for ASU baseball, that's unacceptable to happen. I mean, maybe it wasn't a full 5 years, but just it shouldn't be. You should never miss the NCAA baseball tournament multiple years as ASU baseball. This is the one sport where you're really at ASU. You're really set up to be a national championship contender on a consistent basis. This is the one high level team sport, I'll say, because I know ASU has national championships in other areas, but in terms of the sports that people really care about, I'd say ASU baseball probably leads the list in terms of realistic national championship hopes. And maybe you could throw softball down there as a solid number 2 in that. But it's a good way to end the season. It really is. They needed to win this game against Oregon State earlier today. That I don't think that can be noted enough, because they coming into the week, and all the conferences are having their conference tournaments right now. So it's basically like the end of the college basketball season, where you finish up the regular season, you have the conference tournament prior to the national NCAA tournament, right? And teams can clinch their berth in, or they can use it to enhance their status prior to the actual tournament starting. And so this is honestly, this is a similar situation as to what the men's basketball team was in. Although I think ASU is a little bit better regarded. And in Baseball America's mock projected field of 64, they had ASU as a number 3 seed in the Arkansas region, which that would be a fun trip. But I will not be making it to Fayetteville for an ASU baseball game, but that would be fun. And the 3 seeds are basically, this is the equivalent of like a 10, 11 seed, 12 seed that makes it in the NCAA tournament, but doesn't get the automatic bid, right? So it's not like a team from a smaller conference. All the 4 seeds are, Central Connecticut State. Fairfield we remember Fairfield as ASU baseball fans, sadly. So it looks like you've done enough. And that whatever happens in the regional is gravy to me, because I think you're really building towards the 3rd year with Willie Bloomquist. And he added some additions in the transfer portal last year that have helped out, most notably Luke Keishel, who hit another 2-run bomb today. I mean, he's really been just so valuable for this team. And, you have a chance, most likely. So it just goes to show you that when you make good non-mind-bending hires for your major sports, it actually works out a lot of the times. Hiring Willie Bloomquist isn't some thinking outside the box hire. It's not like you hired Bobby Valentine or some other obscure Major League Baseball manager. We're going to teach him the right way, the Major League Baseball way. And then, of course, they wouldn't be able to recruit and do all the other things that are more relevant to a college job. Meanwhile, you get Willie Bloomquist, who played at ASU, played in the majors. Clearly, the kids seem to like him to a decent level at least, because that wasn't always the case, especially in this Tracy Smith era. So it's looking good. There's definitely not a guarantee that ASU baseball will make the tournament, but you have a 32-23 finish to the regular season. You split in the Pac-12 tournament, and by doing that, you basically erase any sort of idea that like your chances haven't gotten worse because of that. So if you had gone 0-2 against Arizona and Oregon State, that would be really bad. I would be singing a different tune right now. But it looks like going 1-1 should be enough. One more little side tangent I have, and I know that the Pac-12 has to space out these games throughout the day at the conference baseball tournament. But man, you have both ASU games start at 10 a.m. That's ridiculous. I mean, look, there are people who could probably go to that game, but 10 a.m. is so early, and maybe there's just nothing they can do because they have to pack 3 games in a day. But why don't you have the home team, or one of the home teams, I guess, the team with the most close by fans, which would be ASU? Maybe you have them play later in the day so more people can actually go to the game instead of 10 a.m. on a weekday. Very annoying. I was planning on going to one of these games, but the fact that they were at 10 a.m. is absolutely, ridiculous in my opinion. But I do say that with the caveat of they have to schedule them throughout the day. So it's maybe there's nothing they could do, but just they should have changed where ASU was playing, because they could have gotten more fans there. But the Pac-12 is going to Pac-12 in terms of scheduling related things. They don't always have the pulse on the optimal way to schedule things. So hopefully by the time this time next week, ASU knows what it's going to do in terms of its postseason fate in baseball, and we can enjoy them. Hopefully they can advance from the regional. That would be really awesome. And with the way this team hits, it's not completely out of the question. I wouldn't necessarily bet on it or pick it, but crazy things happen. So we shall see. Wanted to touch on some kind of ASU football news and notes. Not a whole lot happened in the past week. Of course, Troy. Okay, I'm gonna mess up his name. I need to find out exactly what his name is. The cornerback from Texas who committed while we were live on our last show, and his name is. Oh, there we go. Troy Lewis Nakuba. From the Dallas area, 4-star on Rivals, 3-star on 24/7. So, like we mentioned, that's a good pickup. Anytime you get high level 3-stars and the 4-stars on your team, that's awesome. And it continues the Texas recruiting pattern for ASU. Then over the weekend, ASU got a commitment from 3-star linebacker Albert Smith III from, I'm going to mispronounce this, Ponchatoula, Louisiana. First team all district, it says on his Twitter account. So another good pickup. These are the types of guys you need to get, just solid players. It's interesting that so far, so many of the guys committed to ASU are, there's probably a good 4 or 5 from Texas, and then this guy Albert Smith from Louisiana. So they are recruiting like the South, like the legitimate, the South. And hey, I trust the 3-star linebacker from Louisiana more than I do from Arizona or California. But I could be reading way more into that than necessary. So anyway, even if it doesn't amount to anything, it's still good recruit, and happy for this kid and his family. And then we get also over the weekend, Canyon Floyd, which is an awesome name, He is a 5-star kicker and punter from Scottsdale, and he's committed to ASU. And I listened to an interview with him with Jordy Ham with Arizona Sports 360. Did a great job on the podcast. One of the reasons he mentioned going to ASU is because they have a legitimate history with producing NFL kickers and punters recently. And he's not wrong. You got Zane Gonzalez, Matt Hack, first two that come to mind. We've had other high-level kickers. Michael Ruiz, remember him from a few years ago? I think he went to Mississippi State, but and he also mentioned the wet being ideal for kicking and punting, which makes sense. So another good pickup. And I get it, it's a kicker or a punter, but in college football, those positions can swing games a lot. I mean, they swing games in the NFL, but they really do in college football when some of the kickers are just, frankly, just terrible. And some of the punters aren't great either. And, anyone watching this or listening to this knows the importance of field position in football. So that is good. Something not so good. It's kind of weird. We talked about Corey Roberson transferring in from Oklahoma last week. Well, he tweets today, "I am so blessed." So that's 4 O's. So blessed to have recruited by some of the most prestigious programs in the country. I know I had to only pick one. With that being said, I'm decommitting from Arizona State, committing to Southern Methodist University. So clearly he was never fully committed if he, decommits a week later. And I mean, look, good for him. It's just, this kind of goes back to our conversation of don't announce anything unless it is set in stone. I don't know why, like, if you're a player, I don't know why you would tweet out, "Hey, I'm going to go to this place," when you're not 100% sure. I mean, look, reading between the lines, and this is not, sourced or anything, this is just me speculating. Seems like someone from SMU saw that he committed to ASU and was like, "Oh, we're just going to offer you more NIL money," and SMU is, the one group of 5 school that has gobs of NIL money. So that's most likely what happened. Maybe he just used committing to ASU as leverage to get more money from SMU, but just kind of weird how it's just like a 7-day commitment. But Corey Roberson, we hardly knew ye, and go do good things at SMU. All right, one last thing. So there's all sorts of conference realignment chatter in the college football sports media world. And an interesting headline, came across my Twitter feed yesterday, and it's from Barry Trammell, the sports columnist for the Oklahoman Sports, which is the premier newspaper in Oklahoma City. So this guy is a lot more connected than your average Joe on Twitter. Some guy hosting a podcast. Cough, cough. That might be me right now. Actually, I had to cough there. Anyway, Trammell knows what he's talking about for the most part. And he has an article that Trammell's Scissor Tales, is Colorado close to leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12? Signs say yes. I'm going to read the first 2 sentences of his article on the Oklahoman. Colorado joined the Big 7 Conference in 1948 and stayed through various iterations for 62 years. Could the Buffaloes be coming back? A Big 12 source told me last week that Colorado is ready to commit to joining the Big 12, quote, soon. And so one thing raised some suspicions for me, I guess, when it's news about Colorado, but it's coming from a Big 12 source. So is there an administrator? Is it Brett Yormark himself telling Barry Trammell that, hey, like, we think Colorado's in the bag, like, we think they're going to jump from the Pac-12? But then I see the tweet from Barry Trammell And it reads, will Colorado be the first domino to fall in the Pac-12? One Big 12 coach says yes. Okay, so now we're I don't even want to reporting, spreading rumors sounds a little harsh to describe that, but we are professionally speculating that Colorado could leave based on what a Big 12 coach says. Who knows how this is all gonna play out, and Colorado could very well eventually leave for the Big 12. I'm gonna say that right now, so don't misconstrue that. But the fact that this is coming from a freaking coach gives this article almost no legitimacy. I mean, a coach, when will people realize that college football coaches have literally zero impact in conference realignment? They have none. Maybe the only one who possibly would is Nick Saban or Dabo Swinney, and there ain't a Nick Saban or a Dabo Swinney in the Big 12. With all respect to Mike Gundy, well, Mike Gundy, the football coach, at least. I'll leave it at that. But I mean, give me a break. Because a Big 12 coach told you. I mean, I get it. He's asking, his article is like, a question is, will Colorado leave? Question mark. One Big 12 coach thinks it might happen. The coaches are very few people actually know what's going on in all these conference realignment things. It's like the presidents of the schools or the athletic directors, even less, and then the conference commissioners and the whoever's negotiating on the other side for the TV company or the streaming company. And coaches leave jobs in college football so quickly. They leave after 1 year. And so why would the University of Colorado listen to a coach? Why would they listen to Dion on where they would go? I mean, I'm sure Dion might want to go to the Big 12. Do you think they're just gonna be like, oh, we'll go to the Big 12 strictly because Dion wants to? Sure, he may leave for FSU in 2 years, but we got to go to the Big 12 now because Dion wants to. It's like, no, that's not how it works. And it's the same with whatever Big 12 school this is. If one Big 12 coach is if Chris Kleiman from Kansas State, thinks, oh, Colorado might be coming, I'm sorry, I just don't believe the coach on that. Maybe if this had been titled one Big 12 athletic director or one Big 12 president said yes, okay. I mean, that would be a legitimate, newsworthy topic, in my opinion. But a coach, I just don't understand why we're leaning on the opinions of coaches during conference realignment. That is my thesis here, because they don't know. They don't know. Kenny Dillingham does not have any idea where ASU football will be playing. It's in 2 years. Let's just say if the Pac-12 blows up and this is the last year, and then the 2024 season would be their first year in the Big 12. He doesn't know that. And neither does this Big 12 coach. And I don't know. I mean, again, this could all sound so dumb. This could sound so dumb if Colorado, and it looks like the other schools, Arizona, quickly leave for the Big 12. But the fact that it's coming from a coach, this is a coach's opinion, that just makes me believe less that Colorado is going to go to the Big 12. A coach, I'm sounding like Allen Iverson. We're talking about practice. We're talking about a coach. I mean, that's like, I could go with so many analogies right now. But oh yeah, we got a Big 12 coach thinking that Colorado could leave. That just doesn't add up. That's not how it works. This isn't a coach speculating on who they might get from the transfer portal or something. I mean, yeah, I don't know. And Rick George, his previous Colorado AD, has previously mentioned that they don't plan on leaving. Again, that doesn't mean they won't. But I'm going to need a lot more evidence, I guess, to actually believe that. So that doesn't directly relate to ASU, but it kind of does, because if Colorado leaves the Big 12, that does change things very much for ASU. But it's one of those things, like, this could very well happen. It could very well happen, but it won't happen for this reason. It won't. I really doubt the coach has like inside knowledge of why it'll happen. So anyway, again, that could be proven wrong. I'm going to say that for the third time on here, but we shouldn't listen to coaches when it comes to college football conference realignment. That is my final thought on this. All right. Well, thank you for listening. And you're only listening because you can't watch me, because my freaking laptop and Microsoft decided to not have the webcam working, and I have no idea how to fix it. So this is just going to be an audio only edition. But like I said, thank you for listening. I don't know the next time we'll be back. It almost certainly won't be next week, because I will be out of town and Colton is planning his wedding. So not exactly the best time. And I've, as I say right now, it probably means there's going to be some big news that happens in between now and 2 weeks from now. But until then, please rate and review, like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at the Stomp the Bus Pod on Twitter. And yeah, that is it. Thank you for listening.